Skinny privilege and obesity bias is real. I have lost over 200 pounds in the last 3 years, so I have the perspective of both a person living in a large body and a person living in a smaller body.
Quick pet peeve, I hate when people say that. When they say in a smaller body or in a larger body, what other body would you be in? Just say when you was fat or when you was skinny or when you was slim. I just had to put that out there because when I hear people say similar things like that, like say they can just move bodies. In today's video, we're going to be diving into the differences that people have said their life has been from when they were fat and when they were now slim, and how people treat them differently. And I'll also dive into my experience a little bit as well. But the real meat and potatoes of the video I want to kind of get into is various different people. But the first one is this guy. So as you can see in this video here, you got a picture of him afterwards and you see him before. Whoa, he was really husky actually. I didn't realize he was that big. I didn't notice it the first time. Look at his face difference. Like, if you look at that face there, it looks so different to that face there. He doesn't look like the same person. But anyway, by some miracle, not even miracle, by hard work and sheer grace of God, he has managed to turn his life around, and he kind of goes into how different life was for him after he started changing.
People are actually nicer to me. I had this fear in my head that people were treating me poorly because I was big, and turns out it's true. I am actually ignored because I'm fat. I am actually not taken as seriously because I'm fat. I am actually passed over for things because I'm fat. I am actually been missing out on all sorts of things because I'm fat. This fear is true, and it has been getting my face rubbed in it for the last 6 months, because all of a sudden I can say the same shit I was saying before in the exact same way, and people are going, yeah, you're right, you're right. I could say the same jokes and people, they'd be like, that's funny. They're like, that's so funny, Chris. I'm used to getting on elevators. No one talks to me. I never get talked to on an elevator. And all of a sudden, why are you talking to me? People like you never talk to me.
That's interesting he says that, because I actively don't talk to anybody on the elevator. I'm not a small talk type of guy, and I didn't really think that being overweight or not overweight would have actually impacted that specific one thing. Anyone in the comments that kind of, we got a fair amount of overweight people that do watch my stuff. Let me know your thoughts on the video as well, and him in particular. Like, have you experienced mini change in this area? Because I expected most of the changes to be within your main friend group in regards to how they maybe make jokes about you anymore, or it may have changed, or dating, obviously, that's a big one. Those are the main, and work. Those are probably the main 3 areas. I wouldn't have thought about little small interactions like being in the queue for coffee and stuff like that. But it's interesting because I like these videos because they teach me more empathy, if you know what I'm saying. And now we've got another person talking about their experience, but it's a woman. I thought it'd be good to get one from each side, because I do believe that men and women are quite different and people treat them differently. So it'd be interesting to hear the experience that a woman has as well.
Skinny privilege and obesity bias is real. I have lost over 200 pounds in the last 3 years, so I have the perspective of both a person living in a large body and a person living in a smaller body.
Quick pet peeve, I hate when people say that, and not as a joke. When they say in a smaller body or in a larger body, what other body would you be in? Just say when you was fat or when you was skinny or when you was slim. When they start using all these weird words and not like as a joke, it just sounds so stupid. Who teaches this? Like, I hope at school they don't teach you this. When I was living in a larger... Where did you move out to? You didn't leave anywhere yet. You are still the same body. It's just got bigger or it got smaller. It just sounds so corny. But I don't want to distract from my point, but I just had to put that out there because that's one of my pet peeves when I hear people say similar things like that. Like, say they can just move bodies like aliens can just...
There is a huge difference in how people treat me. And no, I'm not limiting this statement to how men treat me or even perfect strangers. I'm also talking about my own friends and family. People are kinder, more empathetic, they have more patience, they're more interested in me as a person in this body. People who were mean to me in my fat body are nice to me now. And I haven't changed. I hope that this video validates your feelings if you are overweight or if you struggle with your weight, if you just choose to exist in a larger body. You're not crazy. They were being mean to you and you don't deserve that.
So before we get into the next example of someone else talking about the differences from when they gained weight, because this one's opposite. She was thin and now she's gained weight. So it's a little bit the opposite end, see how she feels. The thing I will say is that may not be on board with what everybody's going to think. So let me just preface this and say, if you are someone that is overweight and you're watching this, which is probably unlikely on a fitness channel, but if you are and you enjoy being overweight, then, you know, have at it, like, stay that way. However, I think the last 2 examples was clear to say that if you want to somewhat make your life somewhat substantially easier in terms of interactions and put your life somewhat, I'm not going to say completely on easy mode, but easier mode, it sounds like the smart thing to do is, if you're someone that's really overweight, to slowly try and gradually improve your weight. Really, you should be doing that in general just for health reasons. But outside of that, in regards to how people treat you, if you want to do better in dating, friendships, family, and all that stuff, it sounds like lowering your body fat, not to get bone skinny, but like just getting closer to an average body weight, dramatically improves those areas of your life. So yes, in an ideal world, they should treat you the same regardless of your size, because, you know, their family, friends, and everything, they should love you, they should like you. Even strangers, they should, you know, give you human decency. However, that won't be the case for all people. And the only thing I can say is that what's easier, changing yourself for the better by getting healthier, or trying to change the world. You know what I mean? Changing the world is almost an impossible feat. It will take decades or centuries to actually change the mindsets of people, whereas you can take ownership of yourself. And at the end of the day, it's ultimately going to make you feel better and be better as well. And the thing I try and liken it to, because some people, from hearing that, they're probably thinking, no, it's shallow, people should just be nicer. Yes, the same way how I should be able to walk down any neighborhood, whether it's poor or rich, in jewelry, holding my laptop in the middle of night and not get robbed. However, that's not setting myself up for success, is it? That would be setting myself up for failure. So I'm not saying that the comparisons are completely equal, but what I'm saying is we don't live in a unicorn world. Things aren't always going to be, you know, rainbows and sunshine, which means that putting yourself in the best position to live a better, easier, and safer life is the smartest play. The analogies aren't one for one, but I'm hoping you can use deductive reasoning to understand slightly what I'm saying. But anyway, let's get into the next person.
And I'm not gonna lie, I've never gotten like terrible treatment from guys. I've always dated pretty successful guys since high school, my whole life pretty much. But the treatment that I was getting at 162 compared to 184 or whatever I am now, it's a difference.
So she gained like 22 pounds. Yeah, that'll make you look quite different. 22 pounds is quite a lot of weight.
The girl was pulling multi-millionaires at 160. It's a difference. It's a difference of the type of guys that in your dating pool, when you're at your best, when your weight is correct, when you're not chubby, compared to when you're not, you know, at your best.
Yeah, that's kind of obvious though. If you are surprised that when you're dating, that when you look your most athletic or your best self, as she said herself, then yeah, your dating pool is going to go small if you gain a lot of weight. Like, you're going to look different. You're not going to look as appealing to most people. Now, does that mean you're disgusting at the heavier weight? No. But it does mean that less people like you. For example, the same way like, there's a thing called chubby chasers for the radio-based people or the feederism stuff. Not every single person off the street is going to find that sort of body attractive. Most won't. However, there is a subset of people that do. So your dating pool or your love pool, everyone, sounds kind of weird. Your pool of people is going to be smaller. So I don't think that should be a shock to anybody. Like, I can tell you right now, even the very large women have an easier time than it would a very large man to get a date, because men have very, not in a disrespectful way, men are just whores. You know, men are whores. Whereas the other way around, very few of the very large, obese men do that well with women because it's not a big attraction. So the gist I'm trying to get at though is your looks do matter. So I'm saying, like, to put yourself, this is obviously a dating example, but it matters across the board, as we saw from the first two people. Not saying you have to radically change your whole life and mindset. However, getting closer to an average body weight is always probably going to be the smarter play. So before we get into the next person, what I want to do is quickly, as I promised, go into my story as to my bout with being a little bit chunky. You know what I mean? Chunky and short as well, which is not a good combination, especially if you're a dude. You know, if you're short and you're chubby, that is two struggles that you do not want to have. So I was chubby for roughly around 3 to 4 years in my teen years, because I came from like a very skinny childhood. And then when I got to secondary school, when you could purchase your own meals, I kind of went a little bit too heavy on the binging because I could never control my food like that before. Without going too long into my version of the story, the quickest thing I can say is that it definitely was noticeable when it come to, for example, dating. And when it come to any girl that I fancied or liked, for the most part, they would more or less always go that, oh, you're cute. You know what I mean? That was the main gist I got, like, you're cute, or the little cheek pinch or whatever, especially because they were taller than me. It was only when I got to like year 11, college, when I started to gain a little bit more height, got into the gym a little bit more, because I used to watch Dragon Ball Z, and that got me into the gym again. And where I started to like look more, not say normal, but started to lose weight and look more proportioned. And it was only when I went to college, where I'm meeting new people for the first time, where I was getting attention from girls that would never normally go out of their way to give me attention. So that was one thing that definitely I found and I noticed that changed, and I was happy with it, you know what I mean? And that kind of solidified for me, like, don't be too overweight. And because at college level, I knew that I was at that time. I realized and recognized that, okay, the reason why I got kind of overlooked in the past was because I was a little bit too chunky. But yeah, that is the quick version of my story. Maybe one day I'll go in more depth. Anyways, the next example, which is this one here, all I can say is some people truly are delusional, or they pretend to be.
I'm gonna be really honest, there's a lot of really fat phobic people out there. I was a go-go dancer at a pride party, and the amount of money that I made versus the amount of money that the thin people made was not the same. Sometimes people don't even feel comfortable like putting the money in my underwear.
Let's be real. A go-go dancer is like a stripper, right? Like some sort of like, you know, seductive dancer, right? Are you really shocked that the people that potentially look more attractive than you done better than you? That's the reason why places like Hooters and those kind of stores exist in America, because spoiler alert, people like attractive people. And it's not to say that she's disgusting to everyone. Like personally, I wouldn't find, I'm not going to finish that sentence. This person, I personally don't find that attractive, but there's someone out there that will. However, if you talk at poll, I'm pretty sure the majority probably won't. So you can't be surprised when people's preferences don't factor you in. And that's just how it goes. And that goes for normal jobs too. Like for example, a normal waitress, it's called pretty privilege, I guess. Like a normal pretty waitress will probably make more tips than one that's not. Or even a woman in general will probably make more tips than a man, because men will probably more likely to tip her more. It's just a part of life. I'm not going to say it's fat phobic. It's just what the people like, especially in regards to their career, which is like something more seductive. It's definitely got an attraction angle to it. So when you're dealing with those type of emotions of lust, yeah, the people are only going to shell out for the ones they truly find attractive and like. And if you don't fall in that, they're not going to do equality or equity when it comes to handing out their hard-earned money. They're going to only pay the one that they really find attractive. And for you to sit there and act like it's fat phobiaism, it's almost like you're living in La La Land, like you are choosing to duck accountability.
So those are little reminders that people still have a lot of work to do around their fat phobia.
It's not fat phobia if people do not find you attractive. Yes, your weight will factor into it. The same way how many women say they want a guy over 6 foot. If they meet a guy that's like 5'2" and under, they may not find him attractive because it's just not their preference. So it's just life. You have to kind of deal with it. There's many different boxes if you really want to make yourself a victim, because it gets to a point where everybody wants to make themselves a victim, so you feel sorry for them. So they try to guilt you into acting differently than most people naturally would. And I don't think that's a good thing. With all that being said, if you made it this far in the video, please give it a big thumbs up. I highly appreciate it. It lets me know to keep making these videos. And also comment down below your thoughts if you haven't already. But anyways, people, click one of these videos because YouTube believes that you're going to thoroughly enjoy them. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one.